Alright. I didn't know what I really wanted to talk about today, but woke up like 30 minutes ago and said, you know what? Let's talk about Kaijus and how Godzilla and company is incredibly shit-tastic for the game. So, just in clearance of making this video, I'm under the assumption that you contribute a Kaiju... Excuse me. You contribute an extract monster in like summoning format. You guys have this misconception right now that when you tribute a monster with a kaiju, it goes in the same zone of the monster you're tributing. That is not the case. That is why we're under the assumption that when you tribute the extra deck zone monster all the way up here at the top of the castle, up here, you can move it down here into the monster zone because it is still being tributed. There is no specific rule that states anywhere that the monster that you are tributing with the kaiju goes in to the extra zone, because it's not how that works. So that misconception needs to be cleared the fuck up right now. So, kaijus. Oh man, there's a fucking kaiju for that if you guys haven't seen the fucking memes. So, first off, in the current zoo format, kaijus are pretty much, they're fucking everywhere. They're OTK enablers, they're self-perfectionate monster removal, and did I mention that they have a fucking dark hole? So currently the game has 6 board wipes, which is not good for the game whatsoever. Fucking Slumber is absolutely broken. The card also allows you to recruit for a kaiju, and in the best case scenario, you get to do 1100 because you're 3300. Kaiju will attack over a Gamma Seal. So you have a board wipe that deals damage and has the ability to recruit for a kaiju on the next turn. That is fucking insane in terms of absolute card value. Now, looking at the kaijus though, they're all special summonable monster removal. They are essentially Santa Claus, though Santa Claus has to come out into defense mode. Lava Golem takes a normal summon. I believe Volcanic Queen does as well. You know, Lava Golem, the Volcanic Queen, and Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere mode are all... They're great examples of how these cards act as proficient monster removal, not in terms of spells. Now, at some point in time, I feel like the game is going to have to clean this up, especially when we're going to be potentially going into Link summoning format. And you guys have heard me and Simo talk about this in our collabs that we've did. The players need to understand that obviously you have monster removal, but the ability to just use a kaiju, honestly the fucking kaijus are some of the best and minus ones in the game. You know, I would argue that a kaiju might be better than Book of Moon in terms of the proficient removal that it grants you. Just being able to remove a Kirin from the board and follow it up with another card. Now, that's one of the things that makes these kaijus particularly interesting, is the fact that they act as pseudo monster removal and they're seen as a potential combo. Now, when I say a potential combo, it's a combo card that you're using in combination with another thing. This is one of the things I liked about the Senju Zoo deck. So you kaiju away their dude, and then you Senju it back to your hand. Okay. Your deck does what it needs to do. But it is one of the best combo-based engines in the game, as of late. I guarantee you that this was not the way that they fucking intended for these things to work. Their logic was, you know, one on the board at a time. You're going to use the Godzilla monsters to engage in large monster battles. Now, someone at Konami R&D was sitting around going, wow, you know, like, this is a really good idea. And the TCG was like, wait a minute, so you're telling me I can remove my opponent's Kirin from the board, or any other large threat, such as Trident. That way I don't have to engage in the large monster, and my card can board wipe the entire board? So you're telling me is this archetype that looked super subpar to many players turned out to be one of the best goddamn fucking things that has ever been designed in the game's history, all because they're special summons. So I find that really interesting, that looking at the initial concept that Konami was going for in terms of the creation of them and the application in the theory and just how much further things got taken from that. Now, I can't confirm that that was the way that the cards were designed, not by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know that knowledge, but when you're looking at them in terms of presentation, in terms of the other support that they have, that it was definitely clear that Slumber was their chance to provide the quote-unquote kaiju archetype with the ability to have a board wipe, to have the ability to recruit for more of them, all in terms of one card. And with the creation of that card, you know, you already have an archetype that can answer cards. Granted, like, attack points aren't really something. Could you imagine if, like, the kaijus all had the ability of once per turn this card can't be destroyed? Then they would have just been fucking terrible. You know, they all require the kaiju counters that Waterfront produces for them, which no one's playing that shit. You know, obviously they get negations and trash like that, but in terms of raw attack points, I think everyone's playing, 33, 3,000 with Dagaron, or the 2,400 Kumamungus, and then the 2,200 Gamma Seal. It's typically a combination of 4 of those 5 in some way, shape, or form in the TCG. But there's not really much else to say about it. If you're looking at it in terms of its design, the TCG and the OCG definitely took it way further than they should have. I definitely like that. And this is also kind of a good example of when you're looking at in terms of their testing and things like this, you kind of get a window into Konami to see, I guess, how much testing they actually did for this, because there could have been ways that they could have adjusted the initial card designs for these cards so that this technical abuse might not have happened. But I guarantee you R&D, I don't think saw to the point in which the kaijus are being exploited. Definitely the ramifications of them in later formats, especially in the beginning 3-month stages of Link Summon format, because who knew that just being able to tribute an opponent's monster and hand them a monster would be deemed so fucking good in terms of the game's design. I'm still, like, I'm sitting here talking about this and I'm like, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking about tributing my opponent's monster and giving them a bigger monster. It's kind of interesting to see just how pathetic stats matter now. I mean, you have fucking Dryden with 0/0, and she's arguably probably one of the best cards that this game has ever seen. Obviously, it's not Dryden herself that's good, it's all the other support that echoes around her. You know, obviously just having a 0/0 on the board that can pop is pretty good, you know, but for the decks that don't really play Whiptail and things like that, I mean, really, what is the extent that you're going to be able to do with that? And, you know, same things as the kaijus. Slumber is infinitely a good card that will eventually get restricted because of its insane paralysis, board wiping, rotating, 7 card splashable engine in a lot of decks, 6 if you want to argue only playing 3 kaiju and 3 slumber. The card will see some limitation at some point. I don't know how soon, but it's definitely a good example of a card that was designed. And I don't know, I think players complain about cards that do too much. Having a board wipe Rhoda, is that really doing too much, guys? Like, at the end of the day, is Slumber what we needed? Obviously it's an OTK enabler, deals damage, as I said earlier in this video. It's all around just an insanely powerful card in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's absolutely amazing. So guys, do you think the kaiju monsters were a quote-unquote mistake in the game? Do you think that their initial design is just way too powerful? Do you think at some point they're going to do something to the kaijus in terms of limitations? Do you think limiting Slumber will be enough? You know, leave a comment down below. We might just go back to an era where people are just playing Gamma Seal and not worrying about the rest of the kaiju engine. It's all up in the air at the moment, but it's fun to predict these things and discuss these things because the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely always has this unpredictability about it. And the Kaiju cards seeing play much later than their initial release is one of those things. Alright guys, Deucerinos. Till next time, duel. That's not all, folks. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Please check out my Cardfight Vanguard channel, VanCole40. You guys will get an insight on our playtesting sessions. And please check out the Zodiac Duelist TV Twitch stream. That way you guys can follow the House of Champions and MCole40 interactions. Please check out MCole Games for all of your guys' trading card game needs. And if you guys enjoyed this content, please check out my Patreon in the description. Every bit helps to the creation of these videos. One step at a time in improvement, and that's the goal of this channel. Alright guys, have a good time, and thanks for watching.